Hello, everyone, and welcome to the season 2 of the podcast stories. We are back with new guests and new topics. Today, I have with me the pleasure of having Robert Ulmann, whom I have known personally and professionally. Robert, firstly, let me welcome you for coming on this podcast and sharing your thoughts with us. To tell the people about what you do, Robert holds a master's degree in biotechnology and is a certified nutritionist. In addition, he is also an NLP practitioner and a Thinking into Results graduate. He helps his clients increase their understanding of themselves, in particular, their relation to nutrition. With this help, his clients acquire new habits that lead them to a healthier and a happier lifestyle, and thus reversing lifestyle diseases such as being obese, overweight, or type 2 diabetes. In fact, Robert himself suffered many years from being overweight and pre diabetic caused by an unhealthy lifestyle. However, he managed to rebalance his health and body shape within 6 months, and that too without any medications or the so-called magic pills or the crash diets. And now, based on his experience and combined with his own understanding and imagination, Robert is teaching his proven methods to his client in achieving their health and body shape goals. And that's eventually what is also the topic of our podcast today. It's called Mindset Meets Nutrition. Thank you so much, Robert, for gracing this occasion. What a
Thank you
great
very much.
what a great journey you have had. What fascinating accolades that you have had for yourself. So before we actually dive deep into this subject, I actually want you to share with the audience how has your journey been in discovering yourself? Like, what was that moment when you realized that this is what you need to do, you know, and why no crash diet or no magic pills come to your health? But I guess it's your own mindset that plays a huge role in creating that impact on your body.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nita, for being here in your Mind Mavericks podcast series. And yeah, grateful to share my thoughts and my experiences and provide some knowledge and some practical tips for the audience. Now, to
Absolutely.
answer your question, well, I'm a scientist. I studied biotechnology or life science for many years, and I worked already with many, in a company in the industry as well with many customers. And I came to the idea or to the insight that knowledge itself, knowing which kind of foods
Yeah.
are making you skinny, which kind of foods are healthy, which kind of foods are unhealthy. The
Mm,
knowledge itself is important, but it's not complete.
true.
Speaking of which, I know, for example, that eating a lot of industrial produced food, such as chocolate or any other kinds of candies, are unhealthy. And yet, I found myself in many, many situations in this, in consuming them, right? And
Yes.
it's mostly you don't to do it consciously in the many cases.
Mm,
And if you do it once, it's okay. When you do it every day, day in, day out, in front of the TV, when you're out with friends, when you just have a quarrel with your partner, or if you had a stressful day at work, and you do it the majority of times, like this will become your main source of nutrition, then it's going to start becoming a problem. And I
mm,
was there. I was in a situation where I knew mentally that this was not going too good, and yet emotionally or subconsciously, I was triggered to. I had a lot of triggers that caused me to eat these kind
mm,
of meals, this kind of food, and over time I gained weight. I realized at first when I was looking into the mirror, when I got an additional pair of cheeks on my face, and When I do a lot of sports, I like to go jogging, for example, or doing yoga postures. When I realize, for example, then certain yoga postures I was not able to do anymore, not because of lack of flexibility, but because of my growing tummy, who was physically hindering me to, for example, reach out in a sitting position to my toes with my arm.
Right.
Or when I was jogging, I started to feel that my knees were hurting. And so I went to the doctor and he said, Mr. Ullmann, you are almost obese and you are on the best way to become pre-diabetic.
Right.
And this is where it really dawns on me, like knowing that the food is not good is the totally different area than actually, figuring out what is causing you to eat certain foods. And this is how I came up with the idea of nutritional psychology.
Right. Great. And that is what allowed you to, I think, go ahead and study more on this subject because you yourself went through that situation. So, at an emotional level, at a mental level, at a psychological level, you were involved with what are the triggers, what are the drawbacks, what is the good part about it, and what is the bad part about it, because you yourself have been through the journey. Wow. So this is what made you study this, but I think you have put across a very wonderful point is you touched upon is the emotional eating part, where you said that this triggered you to stick to a certain kind of food, whether it was your emotional outburst, whether it was a stressful day. So, and these days, with so much of information and news and a lot of things happening around us, there is so much of chaos in terms of even your work life and uncertainty of times. How would you justify or, kind of tell people to maintain their mental balance when it comes to emotional triggers and emotional eatings? What is it that they can do?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing that I do with myself or with my clients
Mhm.
is making them aware that these triggers are out there, and through early childhood education or through some experiences that you had in the past, you developed habits or paradigms that are causing you to behave in a certain way, which in the moment are helpful, and yet they are harmful in the long run. For I give you an example. When you have you did something really good, right, at your work, and you kind of are taught to be, rewarded or at least acknowledged for the hard work. Yet somehow your boss and your colleagues don't take it for granted. Don't get the acknowledgement and the recognition for the hard work that you kind of expected, and that makes you frustrating. Then you go to the kitchen and there is a piece of a cake left from the cafeteria, and then you suddenly want to say, okay, my colleagues don't reward me, so now I'm going to reward myself, and off the cake goes into your stomach. Best in a rush, because you have new projects coming up, so you have not only the lack of recognition, but you have also the constant stress of your work environment that is causing you not to eat an unhealthy thing, but also to eat it in a very fast way. This is also not good. Simply, when you are under stress, your body, your physical composition is very similar to that when you are in the fight or flight mode, meaning you have hormones released in your blood that causes you to be ready for a fight or ready to run away, like for instance against a wild animal or away from a wild animal. Yeah, and then you have hormones released. They are called adrenaline and cortisol. Now, in the context of a work environment, you are not running away, you're not fighting against your colleagues, you still want to stay here and do your work, but you have this mindset or this body composition caused by your mindset, and this will cause your digestion to go down, because in a fight or flight mode, digestion is one of the things that your body wanted to shut down.
Right.
And then the way how you um, utilize this food, how your body is utilizing, is totally different than when you are in a relaxed state, when
Right.
you don't have any stressors. outside stimuli that causes you to stress. And this is why nutrition, in my opinion, goes beyond the solely composition of the food. It's also important about the individual, both physically and psychologically, like we discuss here.
Absolutely. So I think most of the people go into the unknowingly into the self-sabotage mode, and they don't realize it until and unless they come up with some health issue, which also brings me to the next very important question these days is eating while having a lot of screen time in front of you, you know. So you are either having meals while you're working on your laptops, or the children are also these days having meals when they're either watching something on the television or they have their mobile screens on. And why is it so essential for us as humans to give equal respect and time to the food that you eat instead of, you know, constantly focusing on the screens and what's happening over there? I think that's become a very huge gap these days, because I also see a lot of parents, especially the toddlers, when they are feeding, you know, they have something that's playing on the mobile phone and to distract them, and then they're feeding the children. So that's, I guess, become more or less a way of life. But what we don't realize is over a period of time, it tends to take the shape of a habit, and then the child is not ready to let go of the screen. So I actually wanted to highlight on this point that why is it so essential to break this habit, and why is it so important to give the respect to the food and watch and feel what you're eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a very, very important topic, and I can relate to that since I have a 2-year-old son on my own. Now, this is again the short-term satisfaction versus the long-term goal. In the short run, we want the child to feel comfortable and satisfy all its needs. So we give them what it asks for, right? And it is like
Right.
television. In the same time, you wanna give it food so it can uh, eat in the same time and get the nutrients that it needs to. However, it is also important to take care on the long run. So it's supposed to be healthy and also to experience more parts of the world than just in front of the big screen, right? Or in front of the 6-inch screen of a smartphone.
Yes.
And my opinion, personal opinion, is to separate them both.
True.
So we make sure we have this habit, or we educate ourselves to say when we are together, we talk with each other with the meal, and we focus on two things: the meal in front of us and the people who are around us. The smartphone is the rule. To take the smartphone away, to really not either turn it off or really leave it in another room. Now, if you are already in the habit of that you do it simultaneously, and you want to have a trick how to reverse this process, um I must say right now, i would i would I would tell him, I would talk with the child and say, hey, how about we do one thing by one, or start with yourself, start with you as being the how to say, yeah, you are the parent, so you are the leading figure for this child. So they will be inspired by you if you act in the same way like you intend your child to act. So as a parent, I try to live by an example. So for me, I don't watch television. If I use a computer, I use it just for work. And if I eat, I completely focus on the food that I'm eating. Right? I prepare everything. Then I put my son on the table, sit down there, show gratefulness for the food, come to peace. These are two things that we can talk about in a minute. And then we start to eat the food. All distraction, toys, video games, smartphones, they are shut down and at best in another room. And this is what I do. Don't give any, remove the stimuli, remove the, how to say yeah,
Distractions.
remove the distraction, right? Remove the source. That's the
Yes.
best thing that you can do. Also, when I go shopping, I
Yes.
make sure that I consciously pick the foods that are that I know from my studies and yeah, from reading and trying, that are healthy for me.
Yeah.
I start actually by already start when I pick the choices. What kind of food do I want to buy? Do I
Yeah.
want to buy the healthy food, the healthy vegetables, and the healthy fruits, or the um, the industrialized produced food, which is cheaper? And then you have a conflict of values. What is more important to you? Your pocket to save money, or your health? That's an issue that everybody has to answer for himself or herself. For me, it's very clear that I will always pick, the majority of times I will pick the healthy way.
Absolutely right. And I think a very beautiful point that you touched upon was this was we spoke about the children. Now coming back to us as elders. Luckily for me, as a parent, I never faced this issue. Because I managed to balance this with my two kids very well. So yeah, we didn't have any screen time. So I am quite blessed on that part. But when you are in a working space, a lot of people use the lunchtime or their food as something more of a filler. Filler in the sense something to quickly fill your stomach so that you don't feel hungry. Whilst food is actually a part of energy, where you are giving your gratitude, you're giving in that energy that when you are intaking this food inside your mouth and chewing it, it gives you good health, it gives you good nutrition. And we actually pay zero attention to that. And we are quickly hobbing on to the food because we have probably the next meeting to catch on or whatever. That's kind of in the long run, people actually forget paying attention to the health, and then whatever money you have actually earned with so much of so-called hard work is spent on gaining back the health that you lost because of probably not focusing on your food, not giving good time to your food. I want you to actually just highlight the importance of that 20 minutes of that lunchtime that you have for yourself, why it is so essential to completely focus maybe on your food and have a quick talk with your colleagues instead of being in front of your laptop or your phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, first of all, I can understand the situation. Right now, everybody is on or perceive himself of being in a race of becoming the first, the best, the most productive, the most effective. Everybody
Yes,
wants to earn a certain amount of money. Everyone wanna live and live independently. The question is here: what price are you willing to
absolutely.
pay? And some people make this decision unconsciously to sacrifice their health in order to become successful, to be rich. And they were struggling and striving towards this success, which is a good thing if you are making sure that you have enough time and enough opportunities to recover properly. We are even machines, as high performing as they may be, they have a certain downtime for maintenance or
Yes,
a higher maintenance if they break down because the regular maintenance was not taken care of or wasn't carried out. So they will perform until they break down. And then
right.
the downtime is much longer, and there must be more investment in terms of effort, in terms of money invested in order to bring the machine back to work. It's like with a car. If you don't expect it every year by a professional or with this your own knowledge by yourself,
Mhm.
eventually the car will break down, and then you need to be invest a lot of money to get spare parts, or even worse, you need to buy yourself a new car. Now, a car you can buy new, but our body,
You can't buy a
just
new.
one. You
Absolutely.
can't buy a body. At least we are not. I mean, in the fantasy world, you can maybe transplant your head to a new body, but this is still just fantasy. So until we are that far in our technology, we need to take care of the body that God or nature has given to us as best as we could. And that
Yeah,
means never skip your maintenance.
absolutely.
And always give the body the rest and the nourishment that it requires every time. and that includes also the breaks. So the breaks are there for a reason. Instead of thinking, now there's this strange belief that people think running a business is like a marathon. I would like to revise that and give you another thought impulse. Think of a marathon, of running a business or running your career as a series of sprints. There are times where you really give everything, but there are also times where you need to relax, right? You need to
Absolutely.
recover.
Right.
Otherwise, if you do one sprint after another and the recovery time is too low, the next sprint won't be as effective as fast as the last one.
Right.
And it will decrease eventually.
Absolutely.
And eventually you will even collapse out of fatigue, out of overstress, and won't be able to perform any longer. So if it's not for your well-being feeling, it's important for your performance to give yourself the breaks and really take the breaks that are necessary. And that includes, and is not limited to, the proper intake of food.
In fact, also, I'm sorry to cut you there, but I just wanted to highlight this issue. At least in India, this has been happening very often, where a lot of youngsters who have been maintaining a great health, okay, they have been doing gymming regularly, and they have been working, they have been also following a certain set of nutritional pattern, and despite taking so much of care, the youngsters are dying of heart attacks. So it also means that it's not just your food intake or not just your nutrition, it's also how you manage your stress level, your thought process, and I think your body alignment along with the nutrition as well. So I want you to highlight a bit on that, about this alarming rate of younger lot getting heart attacks these days as well.
Now, there's a secret, or what means secret, effect that I figured out during my education as a personal trainer and as a nutritionist. The professional athletes, they perform best, although they train not so much like some Instagram influencer or some IT worker who maybe even be able to spend 2-3 hours in the gym, not only because of the method, but because the professionals, once they did their training, right, like 3 hours training session with everything, what they do the rest of the day, they relax. They go to the sauna, they get yourself a nice massage, they do meditation, do other means to relax their body. Because when they relax, and if they digested all the food, then the anabolic processes are starting. This is maybe the reason why people, or who are in an IT job or in a stressful work environment, and they permit themselves, from the mindset, they permit themselves to feel stressed, to be influenced in a stressful way by their environment. Even if they go to the gym, even if they eat healthy food, they don't see any results. One reason could be because they cannot get out of this mental state of being stressful all the time, right? Rushing into the gym, doing their push-ups or their bench presses or the squats or their deadlifts or whatever kind of exercise, and then rush back into the job, into the next stressful thing, will not bring it. So being at rest, being at peace, or having times where you are able to do that, even away from your family if necessary. If the family is also stressful for you, give yourself a half hour at least a day or even more to be isolated from all the stressful environments, and then just meditate or take a nap. This will help you a lot. This will really stimulate your body to say, okay, now the stress is gone. Now I start to actually build the muscles. Now I actually start to recover get away the waste. And this is also why sleep is so important. A lot of people, I'm not so sure how the situation is here on your side, but here in Germany, people think if you sleep longer than 4 hours that you are considered to be as lazy. But we need to have the sleep is there for a reason. If we didn't needed sleep, evolution would already give the ones who are sleeping less an evolutionary advantage. And yet it's still there. So there must be something, right?
I still go by the old school thing. 8 hours of sleep is completely essential to have the break, and because your mind is constantly functioning and working, you need to give your brain some rest. You need to have that deep sleep moments, when you're sleeping, so that your mind can relax, and because the subconscious is also working, and it goes into this peaks and lows, and like I think our mentor puts it, it's important for things that we want to be impressed on the subconscious, and that's the time when it happens. So we need to allow that to work on its own, rather than just we physically always wanting to do the work. I think that was too complicated and complex.
So muscles don't build when you are training out, when you're working out.
Yes,
They build when you rest. They need the
absolutely.
stimuli, that's for sure, but they will only grow if you give them enough nutrients through, for example, enough vitamins, enough protein, and enough minerals, and give also time to rest. The
Mm,
muscles grow when you rest. The muscles grow when you sleep. And also all the garbage that has been accumulated throughout the day in your brain, they is going, your body is removing everything whilst you're sleeping. So my recommendation
absolutely.
is measure how much time you need to sleep, how to fall asleep, sorry, to fall asleep, and then one cardiac circle of sleep takes round about 1.5 hours. So if you, for example, what I recommend is do at least 4 cycles of sleep, that means 6 hours plus the time to fall asleep, which in my term is also somewhat between 25 to 30 minutes.
Right.
Then I always, if I want to set the alarm, I always say, okay, set the alarm for 6.5 hours in my case. Now everybody is invited to figure out how long time does she or he need to fall asleep, and then take the 1.5 hours times the times of cardiac cycles. 5 is the optimum, 4 is the minimum I recommend,
Mm,
and then you know how long you have to sleep throughout through the night to feel refreshed, recovered, and aware and awake for the next day.
absolutely. Gee, I'm actually enjoying this entire conversation. Lastly, Robert, I just want you to sum up this entire thing about the mindset and the nutrition. Let's say if I do not have a lot of money to invest in a nutritionist, all right, but I still want to take care of my health. So, what
Mhm.
are some of the advices or some thing that people who are staying at home and working on their own? What are some of the things that they can do to take care of themselves?
When people come to me and want to have like this kind of advice, I first, or if they come to me and I first check out with them, not what they eat, I'm looking what and how much they drink. For example, I always have a bottle of water here close by, always making sure that before I finish the day, this bottle 1.5 liters are empty, and then after lunch break, during the lunch break I refill it, and then I make sure that it will be also empty. So it of course depends on many factors. How are you physically active? How tall are you? How old are you? But my recommendation is make sure that you drink at least 3 liters of non-sugared liquid. Non-sugared means you can drink tea,
Yeah.
you can drink black coffee,
Mhm.
you can drink water. I like to add lemon to my water and some mint leaf. If you wanna have some other
Yes,
some taste for
yes,
it.
yes.
I avoid to drink sugary drinks. They give your body, sugar, which is
Mm,
in high amounts unhealthy,
mm,
and it doesn't really make you satisfied. I mean, it doesn't make you feel like you eat something.
right.
So, and like that's, for example, the first tip that I want to give you. Make sure that you drink the right thing and in the proper amounts. My recommendation is round about plus minus 3 liters at least
Sure.
for the day.
Absolutely. Great. Robert, I would also want you to share information about how people can connect to you and reach out to you. I would also be sharing this information once we are done with this video, and I'll be putting it up in the description as well. But are you on which social media platforms are you present, and how can people reach out to you and
Mhm.
enroll themselves as a clients?
Well, if they first, before they want to actually enroll as a client, they should get to know me better. So everybody's invited to look into my Instagram profile. It's called Robert dot Ulmann, Ulmann,
Mhm.
and then you're gonna find me. And
All
then
right.
there you can see, you get some free content of me. I posting, ideally I post every day something, but
Mhm.
at least once, at least twice a week. And yeah, if anybody is interested for collaboration or for any further advice, feel free to reach out for me via the DM.
Absolutely. Great. Robert, I have loved this conversation absolutely, and I think I have a lot more questions. So we should do a part of mindset and nutrition part two as well, where we can speak about the rest of the things as well. So, any parting words that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, some people think or that they can wait, or they put the responsibility of their own health to the hands of a physicist, so of a doctor. Now, they are important, and I admire them, and I respect their work for what they already done to treat all the sick people and treat the sicknesses. However, they are firstly treating symptoms, not the root cause. They can give you a surgery or medication and send you back home. If you don't apply what they do, you will fall back into your old routines. And then a few weeks later, you're gonna go back because you still have the problem. So the responsibility, my dear listener, is in your hands. And only through changing a lifestyle with good thoughts and with a healthy nutrition, you are able to long-term reverse the effects that are plaguing you.
Great, great. So basically, it's like learning to heal from within and not just your circumstances or situations. We don't need temporary solutions. We are looking for permanent solutions.
Yeah.
Great.
And a crash diet or a magic pill that is promised is actually also working like a medication. You don't wanna, you're not supposed to take it your lifelong, and you actually don't want to
Mhm.
rely on that kind of medication. So everything like magic pill or crash diets, at best it works temporarily and is only treating some symptoms. And if you
Mhm.
don't change the lifestyle, you will see yourself purchasing the next magic pill a couple of weeks later.
Yeah, I know. Even I come across these ads on Instagram, like fat burning pills, and you just put them in the water and drink it, and yes, it's
Yeah.
quite attractive. I mean, it's packaged in a very attractive way, but yeah, it doesn't help you in the long run, definitely.
Yeah. If I want to toss you something as a teaser for the next session, I
Sure.
personally am not a big fan of the whole weight loss concept. If it's interesting for those people, we can talk about why, in my opinion, why, in my personal opinion, in the word weight loss is a big lie.
Hmm. Absolutely. So I think that's our topic for our next conversation, that why weight loss is a big lie and what is it that you actually need to focus on. Uh, Great, Robert. Thank you so much for joining me all the way from Germany. That's something I forgot to tell my viewers that yes, Robert joined us from Germany and sharing all this wonderful knowledge with us, wonderful information with us. If you want to connect with him, reach out to him. Go to the description and you will find all the details about Robert and the wonderful person that he is. And not only will he help you just with your nutrition, he is also going to help you work on your mindset so that you remain steady with that decision and you are not fluctuating, up and down, right?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Nita, to be here on your podcast. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being my first guest in the second season of the podcast stories. Have a great day, Robert.
Thank you. Bye bye to
Bye
everyone.
bye.